What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut. And today we are going to discuss one of the most interesting trade breakdowns in the trade breakdown series as we look at the Terrell Owens trade, which occurred on March 16th, 2004. So, before we get into the trade, there is a little bit of information that we have to discuss. So, essentially, Terrell Owens was one of the best receivers in the league in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he had become very unhappy in San Francisco. He did not like his quarterback, Jeff Garcia, and it just became a complete mess. So before the 2004 season, after 2003, before 2004, essentially Terrell Owens made it known to his agent that he didn't want to play there. So he essentially says, okay, and they say, okay, we opted out, but the 49ers go, no, you missed the deadline to opt out, so you're still in a contract. So the 49ers end up trading the rights to Terrell Owens to the Baltimore Ravens for a 6th-round pick. Now, Terrell Owens and his new agent say, no, you can't do that. I'm a free agent. I just negotiated a deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. So the NFL is kind of like, and the NFLPA says, okay, we're going to step in. And they file agreements on behalf of Terrell Owens. And essentially before the discussion, the case could go to an arbitrator, the NFL kind of said, let's see what happens. And the Eagles, 49ers, and Ravens agreed to a rare 3-team trade in the NFL. So essentially what would happen is the Eagles would get Terrell Owens from the 49ers. In exchange, the 49ers would get defensive end Brandon Whiting and a 2005 6th-round pick from the Eagles, while the Ravens would get a 2004 5th-round pick from the Eagles. And this pick would be the 160th pick. Now, essentially, the Ravens also got their 2nd-round pick back from the 49ers. And essentially, this happened so the Ravens had no grievance to file. The Eagles gave them a draft pick. The 49ers got something, and Owens got to go to Philadelphia, where he signed an extension with the Eagles. So, yeah, now that the information's out of the way, the Philadelphia Eagles get wide receiver Terrell Owens. Now, this is when I really started following the Eagles myself, and I remember this. So he had a very, very strong, if not elite, 2004 season. Now, he would end up fracturing his fibula in a Week 15 game against Dallas on a very dirty horse collar tackle that used to be legal, but because that certain Dallas player did it to multiple players, it became illegal. So, yes, I do remember that game. I do remember that play. And Terrell was expected to be out for the season, but he would return for the Eagles' run to the Super Bowl during the Super Bowl, where he would actually have a pretty good Super Bowl game against the Patriots in the eventual loss for the Eagles. Now, he had a pretty strong first 7 games in the 2005 season, but he ends up getting suspended. And then we see the infamous working out in the driveway scene where he's working out in his driveway with the media there talking to him. And he ends up getting cut after the 2005 season because Andy Reid didn't tolerate that type of stuff. He didn't want divas. So he did make 1 Pro Bowl. He was a 1-time first-team All-Pro. And he caused a ton of headaches in Philadelphia. That's for sure. It's an understatement, if anything. But he was definitely a good player. No denying that. On the field, great player. The San Francisco 49ers get defensive end Brandon Whiting. So Whiting himself would only appear in 5 games for the 49ers before being cut. Now that 2005 6th-round pick would become the 205th pick in the draft. With that pick, the 49ers would select cornerback Derrick Johnson. Derrick Johnson was an okay player over a single season, but then he was cut. So they didn't get much. Now the Ravens got the 160th pick in the 2004 draft. They would end up trading that pick along with the 222nd to the Miami Dolphins for the 153rd pick. Now, with the 153rd pick, the Ravens would select defensive end Roderick Green. And Roderick Green would actually appear in 25 games over 2 years before being cut. Didn't do too much for the team, though, but still good enough to at least appear in essentially 2 full seasons. The Miami Dolphins, with the 160th pick, would select linebacker Tony Boa, who was a special teamer for a single season before being cut. More importantly for them, with the 222nd pick, they would select linebacker Derek Pope. And Pope actually had a strong rookie year as a special teamer where he would end up outperforming Boa. And he would have 2 more years as a special teamer before becoming a starter in 2007 and having a career year, but then he left the team. So yeah, that was the Terrell Owens trade. And despite the little writing, it did take a little longer than I expected because of the whole before the trade happened story. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good rest of your day.